Hi, everybody. Welcome to Show It Live. I'm Field, and this is Liz.
Hey guys, we are part of the team here at Show It, and Show It Live is a weekly webcast that we do for photographers. We bring on a special guest with us each week, and we talk about a topic relating to the photography industry and business and just creative life in general. And we are so excited today because we have an amazing photographer and creative and blogger joining us. Miss Jasmine Star is going to join us all the way from her studio out in LA. But before we get to that, we usually like to do a little chatting about what's going on here at Show It. And one of the big things we've done this week, if you tune in every week, you know we are in a new space today. So
we had a previous setup going for our studio, kind of crammed into a corner. We opened it up a little bit. We knocked down barriers and walls. They were emotional barriers, but they were still barriers.
We moved people's desks, and we now have a new studio to sit in each week. So make sure you join us. Typically, our shows are on Tuesday morning at 10 a.m. Pacific time, so you can actually tune in next week. We'll have another episode of Show It Live.
Yes, absolutely. And next week, we're actually kind of continuing on. It's Ben Turner's going to join us next week, talk about some SEO stuff with blogging and WordPress and all sorts of good stuff.
Absolutely. We love blogging here at Show It. Show It is a drag and drop website builder for creatives, and we think that blogging is a really important part of your whole portfolio. It's a great way to market your business, and it's a great way to show your creativity, and what we are about here at Show It is creativity and building technology that actually enhances creativity and gets out of the way so you can do your thing.
Yeah, so if you've been around for a while, you know that Show It has always done great custom web designs for that, but now we're also hosting WordPress blogs, which is a big deal. It's being integrated with Show It, and there's some things we want to talk about here with the future of WordPress and Show It. There's some amazing things coming. So if you haven't, if it's been a while since you checked us out or anything, definitely come in and look at all the things we're doing. There is going to be a big announcement here momentarily. In moments, talking about some of the things we're doing.
It's very, very exciting, and we are so excited to have our guest today, Jasmine Star, and she is talking with our CEO, Todd Watson, from her studio out in Southern California. Hi, guys.
So welcome.
Hi, guys.
Hello, hello.
How are you? Good morning. Good morning.
We are great. Welcome to Show It Live.
Thanks. Thanks so much. I'm happy to be here.
Oh, we are so excited that you're here. We sent Todd out on a plane yesterday so that he could be there with you this morning, and I guess we'll just go ahead and be quiet and we'll let you guys do the talking.
Yeah, well, thank you so much. It's so fun to be here, Jasmine. It's been a few years that we've known each other, and we started out. Man, tell us a little bit about how we even got to know each other.
So Todd and I met, like almost 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And he was always like one of the smartest tech guys I know. And you helped me on personal levels and business levels. And we got involved primarily on a serious level, like by Show It. When I first created my Show It website, it was early in the company. We got to know each other on a deep level, and since then the business has done great things.
Yeah, and we actually got to spend a little bit of time on a bus together.
We did. We did. But before people take that out of context and misconstrue, Todd and I were not on just a bus together. It was a group of us, and I had the luxury and the opportunity to go and speak at various cities around the U.S. and Show It was a major sponsor and supporter of that. And it has been on more than one occasion that has actually happened. So we go way back.
Yeah, it's been great, and it's been a good journey for us doing Show It, and over the years we've done different sites and things like that. But some people might be asking, so are you using Show It now? Like what is?
Yeah, that definitely should. We should just come out and speak that for what that is.
Yeah, because that's the question.
That is the question. That is the golden question. And so, you and I, so I'm going to talk to the camera and I'm going to talk to Todd because I don't know, I'm awkward sometimes. Todd and I actually had conversations about where I was with Show It. And yes, about a year and a half ago, I walked away from Show It because the platform really wasn't giving me what I needed at the time, at the moment. And I really wanted more blog integration. At the time, it wasn't where it would have been, where I would have liked. And I also wanted something that was really slick when it came to mobile. And I just felt like those two things were enough for me to transition away. My current website, well, if you guys check out my mobile site, which you guys should do right now, if you're on an iPad or on your iPhone or any sort of Android or mobile device, check out jasminestar.com because Show It has fully revamped it with their state-of-the-art new stuff that's going on. I absolutely love it. I think it looks really slick. And I think that this is just a precursor of things that are to come, because I will be transitioning to show it with a brand new website. I've already started the planning process and the design conversations with my wonderful and amazing graphic designer, Promise Tangeman of Go Live. And I'm really excited. I think good things are in store, and I cannot wait to show like what the new platform is going to do for my website.
Yeah, and that's a big thing too. Is we've been working at really reinventing what Show It is about, and how, you know, when we got into the market years ago, there was a lot of templates for photographers, and that's where it started. And we said, you know what, let's give creative freedom to photographers where they can, you know, when they see their brand that feels like them, and they have that customization and feel like this is really my site. That's where we started, and now we see a lot of that even today, as so many people are going to WordPress, and then they feel like, I got a template,
right?
I don't know what to do with this.
And I think, well, I mean, to be honest, like that's kind of what happened so a few months ago, for people who aren't aware, or maybe this is just like review, but about 3 or 4 months ago, maybe even a little bit more, Google kind of like laid out that your website will not be indexed as high if you do not have a mobile friendly site. And so I had this conversation with like a few people. So I went to Google, and there was like a website where you can test mobile friendliness. Thank you. One of the smartest guys I know. I tested the mobile friendliness, and my site was not mobile friendly at all. And so when I started looking at the alternatives of how I can make it, I realized that there were so many things I had to do in that regard that I didn't know. So I ended up having to reach out to various programmers, or I didn't even know where to begin. And I felt like when it came to Show It and the ability for me to do that on my own and make it look the way that I wanted with relative ease, I think that just worked really well.
Yeah, and that's where we stepped in, and we decided, let's have this conversation, because we've built a totally custom mobile editor, and you know, we have so many great mobile sites that are being created that are completely unique for each photographer. But we said we could use that platform, or hey, we're actually in the process of getting to Show It 5, which is what we've named the next generation of what Show It will be about. And so we said, hey, why don't we kind of alpha, like what is our mobile 5?
So for people who are not as tech, I learned this last night. So I thought I was really cool, and I was like, so this is like the beta version. And Todd corrected me. He's like, no, this is before beta. This is like alpha. Like we're kind of like, alpha is the nice way of saying guinea pig. Let's see what's working and how much can we push this. And I'm really excited that being an alpha tester is soon going to open up to a lot of people being beta testers. So you kind of want to get in early, but I can tell you that the process has been awesome for me, and I'm so stinking excited for my next website. And I'm probably talking too early about my next website. It's going to come in a few months. There's a lot of hard work that goes into executing a website that you fully love, and so I'm already in conversations, but we're probably a few months away.
Yeah, and that's the great thing about Show is like when you build it, you can also continue to like expand that brand and make that your own. I really feel like that's yours. So today we're saying, if you want to get more information about what's coming down the pipe with Show It 5, you can go to showit5.com, the number 5, showit5.com, and put your email address in there, and we'll be getting you updates. You'll be the first to know as we have new things to tell you about.
That was very American Idol. What? Showit5. Showit5.com. You know, like an American Idol when they would watch, like, you know, call American Idol 5? Okay, so anyway, that was a really bad joke. I think I'm already starting to sweat. Okay, awesome. Let's transition from this awkward moment.
Yeah, so with all of that, the next thing that we're going to talk about is blogging, and how did you get into blogging? Like, what part of your business did that come from?
Well, the history of my blog, in short, would be that I started blogging, and I left law school, and I needed a place just to document the journey. I spoke with my husband, JD, and I said, I don't think that my business is going to succeed, but I really just want to try it. And we gave ourselves a year to make it happen. And what I was going to use the blog for was just an online journal documenting, I did a shoot today, I got a camera, and it was really just me being really raw and authentic on the web. And sometimes I look back at those early blog posts and they make me cringe a little, and I'm like, oh, why did you say that, or why did you do that? But it was just like a learning process. And what I learned, which was such a fundamental lesson that I think I'm really going to focus on today, is there is a very viable thing about revealing who you are on the web. And I'm going to be talking about blogging from a business perspective. And yes, there's going to be the benefits for business, but also leveraging personal aspects to it. So the principles for blogging applies to any business owner, photographer, wedding coordinator, real estate agent, soap maker. So the principles that we're going to be talking about today really do apply to a lot of just small business entrepreneurs.
Awesome. Yeah. So what we did before getting into this webcast was we said, hey, let's get information from the people that are going to come to this show and see what is the status of their blog. Where are they at with blogging? And so we compiled some survey and some results. And so do you want to take us through a little bit of those things that you learned?
I do. So I wanted to take a second, and for those people who have who did respond, thank you. There was over 1,000 responses. I think there was like even more than that. The last time I checked, which was a few days ago, was 1,000 people had responded. In that it was a 5-question survey, but I think it's really revealing, and it really does help us understand the frustrations that small business owners come in contact with as they're blogging. So I want to get into just some of the questions so that we can show the entire audience where things stand. Now, the first question, and Todd, feel free to jump in.
No, you go.
Okay, because you know I just have that personality. I'm like a Mack truck. It's like, if you're in my way, I'm gonna back it up. Okay, so the first question was, how often do you blog? Now, I found that the results from this were intriguing. So 25% of people who responded never blog. Now, 24% blog about once a week. So we can roughly say that half the people who have small businesses are blogging once a week or not at all. Now, another 23% blog about once a month. So these are just numbers that I want you to keep in the back of your mind, because I'm going to walk you step by step about what this aggregate data means. The second question that I had asked was, what is stopping you from blogging more? Now, by and large, 42% said that they can't figure out what to say. And that was followed out with 29% is that they don't have enough time. So about half the people who are blogging who don't blog or blog rarely can't figure out what to say. And that's part of the reason why they're not blogging more. Let's go down to the third question. The third question that I wanted to know is, how long does it take you to publish a blog post? 28% of people said between 25 and 40 minutes, and 26% said between 45 minutes and an hour. So we can roughly say that just over 50% of people will average around 45 minutes for a blog post. Now, if we can kind of take that a blog post is 45 minutes, can you find time once a week to allocate that amount of time to actually drive your business forward and get the marketing effects for that? That's something to keep in the back of your mind. We're going to talk about how. But before we get there, I want to get into the fourth question, which is, how often do you publish personal blog posts? 45% of people said they never publish personal blog posts. And 27% said once every 2 months or less. Now, we can say safely that close to 75% of people are not sharing any personal components to their business and to their trajectory and to their ideology. So I'm going to aggregate this information, boil it down a little bit more. But the last and final question was, this was a fill in the blank. What would make blogging easier? And I scrolled through every single response.
And there was a lot of
There was a ton. There was a ton. And
lots
I
of
read
really
them.
Interesting things.
And they were interesting. Some people said that they would have more time blogging if they weren't filling out the survey. But a ching. Okay. But overall, what I wanted to do is I found a reoccurring theme. And the reoccurring theme were the following 6 things. Knowing what to say. If they had more time, they would blog more. If they had more content to blog, they would blog more. If they were more organized, they would blog more. And knowing why it's beneficial to their business would cause people to blog more. And lastly, very typical of small business entrepreneurs and creatives, is they need to be inspired to blog more, which is a little nebulous, but we can talk a little bit more about that. What I want to do is get into what this all means. So what does this all mean? Well, we need to get a little bit real, because there is a huge marketing opportunity to blog more. But if we could figure out what to say, and we had more time to say it, and we could talk about who we are, not just what we do. So what we are seeing is that half of the people are losing out, half of the people who responded to the survey are losing out on marketing opportunities, and 70+% of people are not talking about personal components to their life, to their blog, to their business. Now, what I see is a huge gap of actual potential for people to actually go out and leverage this even more. So if you don't have something to say, well, here's your chance to start saying it. What I also want to talk about is when we approach blogging, it's easy for us to come up with 1,000 reasons why we can't do it, right? We're so busy. There's dinner to cook. There's laundry to wash. There's kids to pick up. I work a full-time job. There's a lot of stuff, but I can't help but say that those are reasons to create circles in your life. And the more circles you create, the more you're just going to run around in those circles. But I really want to encourage you to do the work. If you do the work, it will force you to stay focused. Now, people talk about not having time and not being organized. We're going to talk about creating schedules and how we can actually do that to become effective entrepreneurs and business people. So, before we move on, I have to say something my mama always said. My mom always said, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail.
You have a very smart mom.
I do have a smart mom. She was also rather annoying as a child, but as an adult, annoying that she would remind me that. She was wonderful and she was amazing and she was loving. My mom is watching. Sorry, Mom. You were amazing. But I think it bears to say that if you don't have an action plan for where you're going, specifically when it comes to this part of your business, when it comes to blogging, that you're always going to feel like you're perpetually behind the curve. So taking the time to really plan what you want to do. So before we move forward, I think it bears a little bit for me to actually come out and say that I don't think that blogging should look like one way for everyone. Everybody has to find their own cadence and figure out what's going to be best for their business. Having said that, I come to the school of thought that the more I'm having conversations, the more people will be having conversations with me. And I do that by and large via social media and my blog. So I am blogging about 4 or 5 times a week, and that is a personal decision. Do I think that every entrepreneur should be blogging 4 or 5 times a week? No, not if they don't feel like it's a strength. But I do think that it is their imperative value to blogging at least once a week. Because what I do, when I talk to small business owners, when I talk to photographers, and when I talk to people pursuing creative outlets, is that they say, I'm so busy that I don't have time to blog. But if you have a blog attached to your website, or even worse, if you have a blog site that's one and the same, and it hasn't been updated for a month, people who are visiting your website, your blog, they're not thinking, oh, she must be so busy that she's not blogging, or he must be traveling the world shooting. And even though that could be the case, what they're seeing is that you are not active, and so then they can easily assume that you're not busy. And I think that that's a pretty dangerous place to be in as a business and entrepreneur. So I think that before we move forward, if you're writing notes, if you're not writing notes, I grab a Post-it note, grab a piece of paper, write a few things down, because this is the thing that's going to keep you accountable. Right now, make the decision, how many times a week do you want to blog? Now, at the end of this conversation, if I have not compelled you to blog at least once a week, then what I'm going to challenge you to do is to remove the blog from your site, because it actually could be doing a disservice for you. Now, the way that Google reads, and you can probably speak a little bit more to this because you're the techie one, the way that Google reads, when you come up in a search and somebody is searching for something, there's a site, the sites that are ranked higher are the ones that are more relevant. That was the word I was looking for. They're more relevant and they're more up to date. Now, if you have a really old blog, you might think, oh, well, somebody could search and happenstance fall upon me. Well, not really, because your site isn't being indexed as it being relevant to what people are looking for. So these are the things to keep in the back of your mind. Now, okay, let me just take a little bit of a breather. No. I think I'm talking so fast, but in my mind, I am talking so slow. Maybe I'm giving too much information at once. We have people in the chat room. JD is off camera reading what people are saying. If you have questions, throw a little time out. Like, if I need to take a step back, how are we doing? Are we doing okay?
Awesome.
Okay. So there will be time for Q&A as well, but if I'm moving too fast, if I'm not being clear, please let me know. I think that my default, I'm very, very nervous. I'm like actually sweating. My default when I become very nervous is to talk faster and to talk like very assertive, but please know that on the inside, I don't think that I have it together. I really just want to share the tips that I've learned over the past 10 years of blogging and the effectiveness it's had on my business.
Yeah.
So,
and I think that's wonderful. I think just to recap, I think where you're getting at there is just that importance of your rhythm and exposing who you are in that cadence.
Absolutely.
And by doing that, you're going to have people that will engage and have a conversation. So
Yes.
that's where we're starting.
Yes.
Got
And that's what it comes back to, is like marketing in the current day and age, and specifically who I'm targeting and who a lot of young entrepreneurs are targeting are millennials. These are people who are younger, they have more disposable income, they want to find and invest things that are a little bit more creative. And that's who I'm targeting. And so marketing in the traditional sense doesn't look the way that it did like 10 years ago. People want to have conversations. They want to know the story. And the best way, or one of the strongest ways to do this, is by social media and by blogging. So let's get into the first tip. So there will be 5 blogging tips, and then we're going to get into tips for people who may or may not be effective writers, or they feel they're not effective writers, although I believe that there's a writer in us all. And then we're also going to move into blog ideas. So there'll be 3 sections to this conversation, and please feel free to ask questions as it comes along and things of that nature. But the first tip would be consistency. This is what we just came off from. It is very important for your audience to know what to expect and when to expect it, because nothing kills blog traffic more than random postings. Nobody will just randomly and happenstance go to your blog expecting there to be something if for the past 3 weeks, nothing has been posted. So if you wonder, oh, why aren't people leaving comments, or why aren't people interacting? My question to you is, how much do they expect to know that you're going to post what you're going to post? Now, one thing that's going to be very important is to create patterns. Creating a pattern within your blog is very effective. So if you make the decision to blog every Tuesday, well then once people know that you're going to be blogging on Tuesday, they know that that is to be expected. They know that's what's to come around. I blog by and large Monday through Friday. So if you go to Jasmine Star blog, there's a good chance that something new will pop up. I have not blogged today quite yet, because what I'm going to do, because I think about these things in advance and I plan, and we're going to get about planning in a second. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this broadcast, hopefully, and be able to embed it in today's blog post. Yeah. So these are the things that I've planned for. These are the things that I have strategically laid out. So we'll get a little bit more into that. Now, the second tip that I want to talk about is the idea that you make the rules, that you get to determine what you are most comfortable with. And on that note, we're going to get to why I don't think that you should let other people's opinions dictate your approach when it comes to blogging. So a question that I get quite often from small business entrepreneurs and business owners is they say, how are you so comfortable sharing personal elements of your life online? And what I want to first and foremost clarify is that we each have our own threshold. What I am comfortable sharing online may not be what you are comfortable sharing online, and that's okay. That's beautiful. That's what makes us unique. But I will say that I employ what I call a man on the airplane rule, which what I blog about is what I would tell somebody sitting next to me on an airplane. So yes, I would tell the person next to me that I am celebrating my 10-year anniversary with my husband in September. Yes, I would tell the stranger next to me that my mom battled for 8 years with brain cancer and now is in remission. Now, there could be somebody else who would not feel comfortable with that, and I respect that. But I do think that there are elements in your personal life that you can share that don't expose too much of the inward working and private parts of your life. So quite honestly, I think that what I blog is 1% of my life. People might say that's your goal.
Yeah, and so like my dad maybe shouldn't be a blogger because I've sat next to him on an airplane and he shares way too much. So
actually, it could be completely opposite of that. We might want your dad to blog because it would be wildly entertaining. Yeah. It's like TMI. I'm like, Todd does what?
I always hear the things he says to people. I'm like,
don't do that. Cut it. No, I think that it's really important, though. Everybody has their own threshold, and if your dad had a blog, I'm sure he would totally rock it. Now, at the same time, I do think it's really important not to be dissuaded about what people are saying. I did read a comment coming into this about how somebody was looking forward to this broadcast because they didn't want to come across as a blogger as a know-it-all, or that they knew what they were talking about. And I have to caution people against this thought, because you can actually talk yourself out of doing something really effective and something very powerful due to what you think people will think about you. And what I've learned over 10 years is to talk about something that you are proud of, that you stand by, that you're okay with. And regardless of what other people say about you, that's fine. Because the difference between you and the person who's criticizing you is that you are actually doing. And you will become more successful by doing. You will not become successful by just standing on the sidelines, hoping that people get to know you on a personal level. You must put things out and be okay to know that some people will like them, some people will not like them, and some people will criticize you. And in all of those cases, go back to tip number 2, which is you make the rules. If you are okay with it and you stand by it, then push forward. I'm going to go on to tip number 3.
Yes, tell us about tip number 3.
Tip number 3 is to choose 3 words that focus on, 3 words that you want your readers to feel when they are reading your blog. Now, I know this seems a little nebulous or a little cerebral, but truly this helps you hone the focus of where you're going. Now, on this note, we're going to talk about who your ideal blog reader is. But right now, what I want to talk about is 3 words that you want people, every time they come to your blog, that these are the things that I'm feeling. So I'm going to be completely open and share what my 3 words are. Now, my first word is helpful. When it comes to photography related things, people can come to my blog and find a lot of information, a lot of free information about photography. I also want them to feel that they're connected, or that I am a connective style blogger. So when this comes to business aspects, running a business, marketing a business, branding a business, that they can connect the dots for themselves and in a way that is also helpful, but versus it being a technical aspect of photography, we're now going to be focusing on business. And lastly, I want somebody to feel that it was a narrative experience, that I told them a story. And you will see that a lot of my blog posts really do focus on, if it's business, if it's photography, if it's a personal element, it's narrative in nature, because I want to create a story. I think that stories are compelling. And in the 21st century, by and large, things are sold by ways of stories. It's a different style of marketing, but I have found that it's been very effective. So if you're not doing it, you're losing out on a potential opportunity to really mark yourself as being a creative entrepreneur. Lastly, on that note, I want people to take the time to really hone who you are speaking to. Know who your reader is. So I have taken the time to know the age of my reader. So I have a specific age kind of range. Do I know that people who are above and below that range read it? Absolutely. But I am not necessarily writing for them. I'm writing for people within my age group. I also know that I'm writing for a certain demographic. I'm writing for a certain type of learner, and I have itemized all these things. And so when I do a blog post, if I know that my reader will enjoy it, fantastic. Now, if you are just writing a blog post and you just don't really know the direction you're going, I would encourage people to take the time to choose their 3 words carefully about what they want their readers to feel, but also draft up your perfect ideal reader. Who are you trying to attract? How are you trying to attract them? And then you will have so much more honed vision about ultimately how you want to blog.
Yeah.
Okay, am I talking too much?
No, that is wonderful.
Okay.
That is so great.
Okay, so if you're on the internet, you can give me a little amen, because literally I'm dripping sweat. I feel like I'm a sinner in church.
Oh, man.
Okay, maybe we should get the ear on. Can we, or is that not possible? Okay, so.
And so I'm guessing that I'm probably not your ideal reader. That I'm not.
But you do read.
But I read it.
I know.
So how do you feel like you would categorize that? Is this looking for exactly who you would see as someone who might book you for a photo shoot? Is that kind of what you're setting it up for, or is it? Yeah, what's the nature of who you really want?
That's fantastic. Now, this is a perfect scenario because Todd isn't necessarily a target reader, but he reads. And this is great, but I'm gonna ask you an honest question. Would you book me for a wedding? Well, considering you're already married,
yeah,
probably answer no. I would hope not. Your wife is watching. Elisa, don't worry. He will not book me. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think
you answered it for me.
Okay. And I also provide business resources for young budding entrepreneurs. And I don't think that you're quite there either, because you already have established a very successful business and your business acumen is far beyond that point. So while you are a reader, can I monetize your readership in a way that benefits my business? Probably not. Mm-hmm. I like the support, I like the conversations, but my blog is a business vehicle.
Yeah, so and it's probably more likely that in that message, I'm going to connect you with people that would also see that
absolutely
target. So I'd say,
absolutely.
Oh, you need to see her because she connects with what you're doing.
Absolutely, and that's the precise conversation. It's a wonderful gap that you just felt right now. But at the end of the day, even though you're an ancillary reader, you're very powerful in a different way. But again, I'm not creating my blog post about reality television and the shoes I just bought for the Todd Watsons. I'm really going towards my ideal client and my ideal reader. That was great. Thanks.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, fourth of the fifth of our 5 tips is to create a schedule. Now, I think that creating a schedule can be very daunting and overwhelming to a certain extent, but if you've decided to blog twice a week, then what you can do is, what I do is I have a Post-it note on my desk, and every time I get an idea for a potential blog post, I will just write it down. Because so often I will think of, like, hey, maybe that would be really helpful, or hey, I can possibly do that. And then it just kind of flitters out of my mind. But I keep a running list of things so that whenever I feel like, oh, it's time for me to blog, I can go to the list and be like, you know what, today's a really great day to write about this. Now, if you have a schedule, like you have a business blog post a week, and then you have a personal blog post a week, or maybe you have a helpful blog post and then a business blog post, whatever your dynamic is, it's important for you to create a schedule so that you can work in that time into your workflow. Because a lot of times people will say, I should blog today, and they have a litany of things that they didn't plan necessarily, and so all of a sudden it becomes such an overwhelming task to do. But if you plan, Tuesday afternoon from 1 to 2, I've blocked out for my blog post for Wednesday, and then on Wednesday, I'm going to be blogging for Friday. If that is what your schedule is, it really does help so that you can navigate the kind of scheduling and profiling for what you want to do in the future. And actually, if you sign up for this course, there's a blogging challenge, and you also get a free blogging schedule. So I know that Elizabeth and her entire team and everybody really contributed to this amazing resource. And so if you're kind of like stuck and you don't really know how to create a schedule, well, guess what? You can download it for free. It's a PDF. Totally amazing, beautiful resource. So there you go. Boom. No excuses. You come here, no excuses.
Yeah, and sorry, I didn't say that when we said to go to showit5.com with your email address, because that's really one of the great things that we're going to do for that, is if you go ahead and sign up and register to get more info about what's coming with Show It 5, that's where you get that blogging resource.
Well, see, there you go.
So,
I mean, we're just doing this.
And you wrote a nice article in there.
I did.
That has a little bit more.
I did. So for people who are just kind of tuning in a little bit late, if you go to showit5.com, you will be able to get a sneak peek of the new platform that's coming out in regards to integrating WordPress, having amazing mobile sites. Everything's completely dynamic and responsive. I'm so excited. Now, what you will also do is, if you put your email address, you will be the first to know. You will also get a free blogging guide with multiple articles from various readers, and you will also get a sneak peek into the blogging schedule and a lot of other great goods, and it's all for free. So definitely hop on that. So lastly, our last tip of 5 is to be you.
Be you.
Be you.
Yeah.
Nice. I think it's really important to understand that as business owners, there are thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people who are doing what you do. But there is only one you. Even though I am a photographer, and I know that there are hundreds of thousands of people who own cameras, who pursue things professionally, I know that I am being hired, yes, by way of my camera, but also because nobody has my eyes, nobody has my personality, nobody is married to an amazing second shooter and husband who is kind and nice and like softens my rough edges. So all of those things make me unique. So the thing that I really want to broadcast and put out online is that, yes, I am a photographer, but I am so much more than that. And all that is a thing that makes me just as viable, if not more important, than my competition. So every time you are in doubt of whether or not you should possess the power of putting yourself out there, trust and know that you yourself are strong, you yourself are beautiful, and you yourself are worth it. And I know that sounds like a Dove campaign or some sort of like, let's light a candle and have some crystals in the air. But what I really mean is that you should entirely own the power that you possess within yourself to demarcate yourself as a very strong entrepreneur who's confident in who they are and what they're able to do.
Awesome. Yeah, I love that idea too. I mean, that's what we're built on in terms of Show It, and that creativity of saying, like, you be you, and
exactly.
And unless you're going out there and doing that, it's hard for people to connect because there's lots of options.
Absolutely.
But when you narrow it down to being you,
absolutely,
there's not a lot of options.
Absolutely. So I'm going to ask you a question. How are we doing? And maybe like the team at Show It can let us know, when should we be doing questions? Should we be doing questions after each section? I think.
Yeah, maybe Field and Liz, do you guys want to jump in and maybe throw in some questions from the chat?
Yeah, we actually have some great questions here that have come up. Alicia said she'd love to blog more often and include some personal posts as well. Sometimes I'll have a topic that I want to write about, but I feel I don't have an image that fits to use in the post. Any tips, or do you purposefully take photos just to use in a blog post?
So you sometimes don't have images that fit for a post. Do you go out and take pictures for that?
Oh, that's great. Yes, that is a fantastic stinking question. Thank you so much for asking that. And I just did a thumbs up sign. That was so nerdy. Okay, guys. Okay, so when I go on engagement sessions, what I'll do is I'll arrive a little bit early and I'll snap a few photos, like ambient photos that the clients will get in the gallery. So for instance, last week I shot a Newport Beach engagement session, so I arrived around 20 minutes early. I took pictures of the coast horizon line. I took pictures of foliage. I shot a wedding a couple weeks ago in Lake Tahoe, and JD and I took our cameras around and we just photographed unique trees. We took a gondola up on this very high hill, and I took a picture of all of Lake Tahoe. And so these are the things that I'm keeping in the back of my mind. And then once I have those photos, I will drag them to a folder on my desktop that are just like scenic photos. If I'm driving through a city, if I'm in traffic and I pull out my camera, these are the things that I have as a cachet of photos that I can use at a future point in time. That's a fantastic question.
Yeah, so you're like doubling a stock.
Stock photography. Well, kind of. I don't want to brag,
but all the royalties you pay yourself.
Exactly. So I'm my own stock photographer.
Yeah.
But yes, so if you don't have a cachet quite yet, and you want to start building fodder for your blog, I would challenge you to take 30 minutes, 40 minutes, walk through your downtown area. If you see a lot of cool colors, if you see an old door, if you see a rusted lock, if you see a beautiful sunset, these are all things that you can take that you can incorporate into your blogging.
Yeah, and that's great, because one of those things about the stats on when people click on something, when you're talking about like Instagram or Facebook, there needs to be an image that is associated with that post.
I'm actually working on a future blog post about talking about the connectivity between using images to really drive your marketing, and the difference between a status update on Facebook versus a status update on Facebook with a photo. The actual click-through rate is like over 70% better when you use an image. So it is very much in our best interest to have a photo for that. But we've talked too much about that. I really want to get into people's questions. So you guys go.
All right, we've got another question for you, Jasmine. This one comes from Charlotte, and she says, I haven't even written my first blog post. Where do I begin? Do I go into my business details and post bits and pieces from one of my favorite weddings? Do I get a little bit more personal with my life? Do I combine them? I'm nervous about writing my first post. I'm all ears. What can we tell Charlotte?
That is a great question, and I kind of want Charlotte not to be so intimidated. I will say that if you go back to my very first blog, on my very first blog post, I will remember the exact blog post, what it was word for word. I said, check, 1, 2, 3, check, is this thing on? That was me. I didn't know how to blog, and so I was like trying to like work it out. And I'm like, is this thing on? Like, how is this working?
That was deep.
It was deep. I want to say, I should have worn a beret and just snapped a little, like, check, is this thing on? But I think it's pretty important to know that there is not a right or wrong way. And if it makes Charlotte feel any better, chances are not very many people are going to read that first blog post. So understand that there's this huge net. And does that sound mean? Maybe, but it's the truth. Maybe your mom and your sister. For about a year, there was 2 people who read my blog, and that was my mom and my husband. So if Charlotte is following that pattern, it's okay. You're going to start growing an audience, but don't put all this pressure. If you decide to do a personal post, great. If you decide to do a business post, great. If you decide to put on a beret and put check, 1, 2, 3, equally as fine. There's no right or wrong. So you do whatever you feel most comfortable with.
So that actually leads really well right into one of these other questions. And it's kind of a fun one. Katie asked this. She said, I'd love to know what types of things you look back on with your beginning posts that make you cringe a little. It's definitely intimidating putting stuff out there, but is there a post out there that you had maybe buried back in there that you're like, I hope nobody finds this, but I don't want to delete it?
Yeah, there were times where, absolutely. If you go back and you search around February of 2007, or is it 2006, 2007, there was a post, and it's entitled, Why Am I Such a Chicken? And I was at a point of such frustration. I was feeling so low about my business. I couldn't get people to hire me. And I simply just wrote a blog post, and I said, why am I such a chicken? Chicken and I share same entities, like a breathing orifice, and feet, and I should just sprout feathers because I am a chicken. I could not ask people to take their photos. I would shoot them for free, and I would give them the images, and when I didn't and couldn't feel okay with myself even saying that I was a photographer, I simply went to my blog and I just poured myself out and I said, why can't I just ask people to take their photos? What is wrong with me? And I ended that blog post. There wasn't even like an upswing. There wasn't even like a, but I'll get better. There wasn't a rainbow or anything at the end. I was like, where's my unicorn? It was just that. And so sometimes I look back at that and I think, wow, maybe I shouldn't have written that. But at the same time, my first year of business, I booked 38 weddings all without spending a dime on marketing. And I believe that there are certain things that I was so revealing that people came along the journey with me, and they understood that I didn't have it together, that I was struggling, that I did feel insecure at a lot of point in times. And I think in retrospect, I would caution not to be so, woe is me. Like, you don't want to be like the emo photographer or the emo business owner, but there is something to be said about being okay with actually just saying, I'm not having that great of a day, and moving on from there.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of power, and it's really reassuring to other photographers out there that even you struggle, that we all have struggles, and the struggle is real, and it's okay to be authentic about that. So I love that one. We've got another question for you, and this one comes from Allison Cole, and she says, my biggest question is, how do you keep organized? Do you use an editorial calendar, or do you have any apps that help you to keep your blog organized?
That's a fantastic question. And I think that this will be the last question for this section before we move into the next one, just to make sure that I respect everybody's time for this broadcast. So as far as an editorial calendar goes, I don't have anything, I don't have anything that is like formalized by a website or an app or anything at this point in time. But what I do is every Friday, I will sit down and I just grab a Post-it note or a piece of paper and I write down Monday through Friday. And I forecast what the blog post will be. So I'm about a week to a week and a half ahead of my blog. I have not written all those blog posts, but at least I know the trajectory and the direction in which I'm going so that I can allocate time, because some blog posts take longer than others. For me, writing a wedding blog post or putting together all the photos and curating it takes longer than just like a simple update with one photo. So I don't have anything technical, but I am kind of forecasting just like with a good old paper and pen.
Okay, yeah, and some people love using an app. Some people like to just write it down. And like Jasmine had mentioned a few minutes ago, if you get the blogging guide that we've put together for you, you can actually go ahead and download a free PDF calendar. That's a template that you can handwrite in all of your posts. And it's good to kind of forecast and look at what's coming up, whether it's by week or by month.
Yeah, it's going back to, if you don't, a failure to plan is planning to fail. That old
That's right. You made my mama proud, right?
That's right.
Boom.
Go, your mama.
Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to get into some writing tips. Well, one of the things that I'm often asked is that there's people who say, well, I'm not so much of a writer. And that's fine. We're going to talk about 5 things that you can do that actually makes writing a little bit easier. First and foremost, we're going to be talking about what I call the 3 and 3 rule. So regardless of what type of business you pursue, we're going to talk about ways that you can actually create content about the thing that you're doing. So for instance, if you're a photographer and you just happen to shoot an engagement session, well, it would be very powerful for you to use the 3 and 3 rule. Now, the 3 and 3 rule is to write 3 unique things about the day and 3 unique things about the couple. If you will write 1 sentence about each of those things, you will have a total of 6 sentences. And 6 sentences equals a paragraph. And a paragraph is a powerful amount of information to have on your blog because Google can read words. So they're going to get a little bit into that. So let's just use the engagement session that I shot last week in Newport Beach. Well, I shot this couple in Newport Beach. So I would say, well, Newport Beach is one of the things I want to mention because in case people in the future are looking for Newport Beach engagement sessions, I want to list that. I'm going to talk a little bit about the day, and it was a beautiful, sunny, glorious day. And I'm also going to talk about how the couple resides in Los Angeles, but they're going to be marrying in Orange County. So those are 3 things. And then that was 3 unique things about the day. And then we're going to talk about 3 unique things about the couple. Well, I spoke a little bit about how Corey and Catherine, they met by way of friends, and then they went out on their first date to an Italian restaurant, and their waiter looked at them and said, oh, you guys are going to get married. And that was on date 1. And these are just conversations that I'm having as we just like are walking and enjoying the time there. And I also spoke about the love that they share and how he's silly and he can make her laugh in a single second. So what I did in the beginning is I wrote a sentence about each of those things, and then I also spoke about how excited I am to shoot their wedding at the Ritz-Carlton, a way to link back to things that I want to be searched and found. Now, once I did that, that took me about 15 minutes to write, which is not too much. You know, I just had to kind of organize what it was. Now, once you've organized the 3 and 3 rule, well, then you can move forward. Now, once you have that down, you have the option of just leaving that paragraph there and then adding your photos. Or what I like to do is I like to add like maybe a sentence in between each photo so that it's articulating what the viewer is about to see. And I'm doing this for 2 reasons. One, to help narrate the story, because that's one of my keywords. At the same time, I also want to be found more by way of Google searches. I bring up this story quite often, but it bears repeating. I booked a wedding because someone did a search on Korean Hollywood hairstyles. Now, I don't have a blog that pertains to Korean Hollywood hairstyles, but what happened was I had a blog post that I said, oh, the bride got married in Hollywood and her family flew in from Korea and her hairstylist was this, and I linked out to the hairstylist. So the girl was actually looking for Korean Hollywood hairstyles, but her cousin was getting married. She came across the blog and sent it to her cousin. Her cousin called me and said, can you shoot my wedding? And I was like, yes, of course. And so in that way, it helps very much to actually add content so that you could be searchable and found and relevant. So let's get into the next writing tip. Is that sometimes people feel very overwhelmed with what to write and how much to write. But I want to tell you, after doing a lot of research, because blogging has changed so much in the last 10 years, microblogging on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram has become more relevant. So when you do blog, don't feel the pressure to write 1,000 words. A nice blog post size for people to read on average is about 500 words. That's roughly 2 paragraphs. So don't feel stressed to think that I need to write a litany of things in order for it to be valuable content. Keep it short, keep it linear, keep it sweet.
Awesome. Yeah.
Todd, do you have anything?
Well, I just love keeping things short. So.
Okay, well, there you go. That's short. Let's move on. Okay. What I want to also talk about is writing tips, is to make sure and know that there's a difference between first-person narrative and third-person narrative. Now, I'm going to take you back to your 9th grade English class. First-person narrative is, I went to the beach. I enjoy ice cream. Third-person narrative is, she went to the beach. She enjoys ice cream. Now, what I see a lot of business owners do is they will mix tenses. And so if I was using myself as an example, is that if you went to my about section or my bio section, it would say, Jasmine Star is an international wedding photographer located in Newport Beach, California. She and her husband do X, Y, and Z. Now, because I was referring to myself in third person, when you flip over to the blog and it says, I went to the beach with my husband, there's a disconnect there because readers are implicitly and smart enough to know that whoever wrote your bio section, there's a good chance that it was you. So when you talk about yourself in third person, it just sounds a little like insincere. I mean, did you really hire like a copy editor to write that for you? So it's really important that as you write your blog post to keep your tenses the same. That will really help give a little bit more of a personal feel and effect. And I am a huge proponent of writing your bios and blog posts in first person. I. Lastly, what I want to talk about is to stay away, period, from only posting marketing or portfolio posts. So I see this quite often with people who are blogging. Actually, JT, you're right. JT is on it. He's doing graphics for this course. I skipped one. Thanks for keeping me on point. What I want to do is stay away from polarizing topics. That's fantastic. Thank you, JT. I appreciate that. Before we actually get into the marketing and portfolio posts, stay away from polarizing topics would be, I have a tendency to kind of stay away from things that are that divide people. So I really don't talk about politics on my blog. Now, if I was a political blogger, then I absolutely would, and I would own that. But for me, it's really important to really talk about things that unify people and not polarize people. However, if I did feel really passionate about something, if I was completely a supporter of PETA, and I knew that PETA could actually, I'm against using animal products, if I decided to blog about that and I knew that resistance was coming my way as a result, but I believed in it and I stood firm with it, then I'm going to own it. But know that when you do blog about something polarizing, you have to be able to say, I'm going to withstand the criticism and I'm going to take it. If you cannot answer yes to both of those, then I would strongly encourage you to not really blog about something like that. Now we're going to move on to the last and final point, which is JT, bring it all around for me. Thank you. Boom. Make it more than marketing post. It's really important that your audience knows that when they come to your blog, it's not just going to be a commercial. Now, what we have to understand that blogs are by and large commercials for what we do. So if you were to come to my blog and all it was I did a shoot in Hawaii. Oh, I'm on a shoot at the Ritz-Carlton for a wedding. Oh, I just did headshots for this person. All of a sudden, it just becomes a series of commercials keeping you up to date. So it's like an updated portfolio, which in my opinion, if you're just going to use it as an updated portfolio, you should just be updating your website in a really effective manner. So what's important is to remember that your blog is kind of like a TV station. When is the last time you turned into a TV station to watch a series of commercials? You just don't. So what you have to do is you have to temper personal posts, intriguing posts, educational things that will then allow a regular reader to come back to your blog and understand that every time they come back, they're going to get something new, unique. And yes, they might see the marketing portfolio post, but in a way, they understand that it's part of the course. So that is the end of this particular section. I think what we're going to do is we're going to try to warm up a few questions from the crew at Show It. We'll probably, just in respect to time, just maybe get 2 or 3.
Yeah, trying to find a couple questions specifically to the writing. So I'm still looking for some of those.
Hey, no worries. We'll do whatever you guys think is best.
So we have one from Erin, who's one of our favorites here. But she asked, she said this may have already been asked, but how do you get traffic to your blog? You know, with Facebook not playing as nice as it did 4 years ago, or 2 years ago, or 8 months ago.
Changes a lot.
How do you get traffic specifically to your blog?
That's a really good question. And this actually parlays very well with that last topic, is that if you're trying to get traffic from your Facebook page to your blog, but your Facebook page updates are only marketing portfolio updates, there's a good chance that your channel, like your Facebook channel and your blogging channel, are just a commercial channel. And nobody tunes in to watch commercials. So what you want to do is Facebook will play nice to you if you play nice with Facebook. And that's called organic reach. Now, you can pay for it, but I don't necessarily subscribe to that entirely. It's effective sometimes, but not all the time. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that you're updating your Facebook page along with your blog with personal updates about what you're doing. And when people write comments, make sure that you respond to them to the best of your ability. When people leave comments on your Facebook page, if it's spam and it's left there a long time, your Facebook page gets dinged. So making sure that you're cleaning up your Facebook page, making sure that you're responding to people, making sure that people are listened and heard, and you're having conversations on Facebook, your page gets rewarded. And when your page gets rewarded, that's a great way to start pushing traffic. So it all works together.
No, I think that's great, and that's a great point for people to realize. Like, your Facebook page can get dinged, and you certainly don't want it dropping anymore, because engagement is always changing on Facebook, and replying to comments is great. I think we also see that on Instagram, right? That when people reply to a comment you've left on Instagram, like, it just makes your heart happy, and and then you get more comments, and that's a good thing. Yeah. Right? We want those threads to go longer. Did you have another question that you found?
Well, Star, which is fun, you know, Star asking Jasmine.
Thanks.
Yeah, it's the name game. Asked, you know, have you ever been in a blogging slump? And if so, what motivates you to get going again?
That's actually a really great question. It was about just over a year, or it was like 14 months ago, where I felt that my business wasn't where I wanted it to be. I wasn't where I wanted to be, and it kept on showing up in my blog posts. I read my blog posts, and I felt that they looked insincere, and they felt like they just felt really stoic, and I was just cranking an engine to go. And so my friends had a really honest and real conversation with me, and they said, we think that you need to just take a sabbatical from everything out publicly and online. And I was like, no, my business is going to suffer. No, I'm going to lose momentum. No, I'm going to be stuck. Like, no. And so I decided to take, I think it was about 10 days off from all social media, all blogging. And I have to tell you, the first couple of days, it was like I was like a junkie, and I was going through like a detox. I'm like, no, let me just get it on my phone. But what I will say is that coming back to it with a clean slate and a fresh mind and an open heart, it really did change. I became excited again. I felt like I got ideas. I didn't feel like it became a job. And I think that's really important for people to take into consideration, is that if you feel like what you're doing is a job and you feel like you're just turning a crank, your readers will feel that too. And everything I thought I was going to lose in regards to momentum or followers, the antithesis happened. People came back and started writing really nice things, and that momentum and organic conversations on my blog and on Facebook and on Twitter and Instagram all kind of resurrected. And it was actually a really, really great thing for the business.
Yeah.
So I love that your friends like had a bloggervention.
Yeah, right.
For you.
Listen up, Jasmine. I'm gonna try and be nice about this, but you're blogging lately.
Exactly. They're like, step away from the blog.
Yeah.
Slowly.
We changed your password. You can't even get in.
Yeah.
Good luck.
We're taking over your Instagram account.
Yeah, oh right. And it would all be links to them. I know those shysters. Okay, let's get back into this. I'm just kidding. My friends are probably watching. I love you guys. Okay. Wow, I'm just burning all the bridges. Let me show you the way about all the bridges I burned. Okay. So what I want to talk about is that we have talked about effective blogging tips. We've talked about writing tips. Now I want to get into a few blogging ideas. So some people say, I don't know what to write about. Well, if then that becomes the case, I want to give you a short list about what we can do in regards to blogging ideas. So I've included 10 tips, 10 ideas that you can use. And so JT, if you can just leave that up for a tiny little bit. We have an About Me section that is always very valuable and powerful for you to write. Remember, let's do the 3 and 3 rule here. 3 unique things about what you do and the service you provide, and 3 unique things about who you are. Are you self-educated? Were you homeschooled? Do you have a master's degree? Or do you have a doctorate in some field of study? Write all of those things because it showcases who you are. Another blog post that you can write is, what is your purpose? Now, the best thing about these posts is that you can write them again and again. You can write them every month if you want. You can write them every couple months. You can write them once a year. The idea is that you have to let people know what your purpose is. When people know that they're a part of something that's part of a purpose, a part of an idea, they think that they're getting into something bigger. And my purpose is to help. My purpose is to connect. And my purpose is to help light the way in the industry so that I can leave it better than when I found it. That's my trajectory, and I think that the more that I'm able to share it on the blog, the more it makes it a compelling read. And I encourage you to do the same thing. Thirdly, create a series. This could be very great and powerful in a way because this will give you content to write without you really thinking about it. So I've created a few series on the blogs. One of them is called Dear Jasmine, and I get emails from entrepreneurs, from photographers, from various aspects, and they ask me questions. And so instead of me just responding to their email, I decided to respond by way of my blog because I can scale it. People have probably the same question, and if I can answer it for one person and have a lot of people read it, then it became beneficial. I also created a series called Kisses and Disses. Kisses are the things that I happened to like that week or over the past month, and the disses were the things that I hated. So I listed 3 kisses and 3 disses, and it really shed light into my personality and the things that I was liking and not liking that month. And it's crazy because some people agreed with some of the stuff that I wrote. I happened to write this one story about how I really love cookies and orange juice because I don't really like milk. And let me tell you, it was as if like the milk Gestapo went crazy. They're just like, orange juice, that's disgusting. But either way, I created a conversation. Now, people either liked me more or they liked me less, but either way, we were conversing, and I think that that's what the ability of creating an effective series can do. Creating a list of your favorite things is also fantastic and helpful. Favorite things could be things that you like for your business, the shoes that you like, your favorite recipes, your websites. Like I was talking to Todd yesterday, and Todd is an avid Kickstarter funder. So if you have a Kickstarter project, like he is a junkie, like we need him to have an intervention. But I was like, I found it intriguing. Like I was like, I want to know what things I should be funding. And he's just like, well, let me talk to you about those things. Now, if he wrote a blog post about the campaigns he's funding, I would find it personally intriguing. So don't hide behind those things, showcase them and make them more about who you are. You have informative posts. Now, depending, like if you happen to be, let's say, a real estate agent, you can write posts that will help people understand what it is they're looking for. According to a certain area, the benefits of having a pool, should you have a white picket fence around your house? All of those things could be content you could write about. Now, the difference between an informative post and a helpful post, and that's point number 6, and a helpful post with links to other sites, is like if I was a real estate agent and I wanted to create a helpful post, well, I can talk about maybe DIY your own white picket fence. And you could talk about where you get the wood, how you would paint it, things like that. And then you could say, here's a link to this amazing weatherproof white paint from Home Depot, and here's the brush that I use. So this type of post would be very effective in that if people were searching how to make a white picket fence on Google, then your blog has an opportunity of coming up in those searches, which is very powerful. 7, a description of what you do. Now remember, this is important because I need to define that I am not just a photographer and I am not just a business person. What I do is I am a photographer for people who are truly in love. I have a whole litany of things that I do, but at the same time, I am also an entrepreneur who helps other people. And I think that it is important for me to share. 8, thoughts on what is trending. If you're totally starving for blog content and you have nothing to write about, here's a great opportunity for you to use pop culture and what's prevalent in writing a blog post. So a few months ago, there was like this llama escape. So llamas escaped and they were running along. Oh, it was in Arizona. It was in Arizona. Oh, this is perfect, you guys. You guys are playing right into this. Let me just tell you.
It was a big deal. It was a big deal.
It was a huge
big deal.
We were in
CNN.
Yeah, we were in the car driving to WPPI.
Alpaca everywhere.
And there were, and it was like llamas have escaped. It was crazy.
Yeah.
No, okay, so in that situation, if I were you, I would have said, I'm driving from Arizona and I'm so, I'm really hoping I run into an alpaca.
Okay, well,
you know
not
what I'm saying?
physically.
It's like, I'm sorry?
Not physically running.
No. I'm an animal lover. I'm a vegetarian.
You talked to PETA earlier.
Remember, yes.
Therefore, they're listening. So
but it's really great because at a later point in time, if people are searching for things like alpacas, they might come across your blog. Again, this is all about creating a marketing opportunity. Remember the like white dress? Is this white and gold? Is it blue and black? Like talking about those things, if you're really starving for content, is never a bad thing. You can incorporate it. It really showcases your personality. 9, you can write personal or sentimental posts. For JD's birthday, I will always write him a birthday post. For our anniversary, I write like a sentimental post. I will also just randomly talk about if I'm feeling warm and fuzzy, I will write JD a letter, a public letter, and just kind of affirm who he is and my idea of love and the foundation of our relationship, because I really do think it offers insight into what I do. And lastly, when all else fails, things that do so wildly popular in social media are pictures of animals and photos of the food that you are eating. If you decide to do a blog post, and you can get an aggregate from your Instagram feed and put together like a little collage of your favorite cappuccinos and where you found them, how you're deciding you're gonna be gluten-free, and here's some gluten-free recipes and photos and things of that nature. All of that really helps. And it sounds silly, but I gave you 10 ideas. You can get a free blogging schedule. You can make the commitment to change. You can incorporate personal posts. If you have old posts that old photo shoots or weddings or engagement sessions that you didn't blog, guess what? Put them in the queue. Build out the stuff so that you start getting found naturally, organically for your business online.
And you have a little bit of a head start with animals and food.
I do.
I mean,
it's not my fault. I have a cute white dog and that I dress in like these awful outfits.
If I just post pictures of my frog, I just don't think it's gonna be the same.
No, I'm not lying. I'm seriously obsessed with animal photos. If you go to Instagram and you search the hashtag hello Mr. Hopkins, or no, oh Mr. Hopkins, you will see the world's little frog, and she gets little hats and suitcases, and she builds like a little camping. Her name is she's an Instagrammer. Her name is Kristen Rogers, and she has a hashtag oh Mr. Rogers. He is so cute. So if you have a frog, I'm telling you, it works. You guys, I'm obsessed with that feed. So again, animals and food. There you go. Okay, so I just kind of want to close out and remind everybody that great blogging has purpose. Period. Know what your purpose is, and then do everything you can to really push your readers to knowing what that purpose is. And I started this section by saying something that my mama always told me, so I'm going to close this lesson about something my mom always told me. And she said, if you don't know where you're going, you will never know when you arrive. So outline your goals, know exactly what you want to do, and then feel okay getting there. For those of you who are exposed to me for the first time and you would like to know a little bit more about where you guys can find me, my blog is jasminestarblog.com, and you will see a litany of other links where you can find me on social media. A big, huge thank you to Show It. I know that we went just a couple minutes over. I don't know if we have time for Q&A. I am at the mercy of the viewers.
This is great. This is
you.
Wonderful. And thank you for sharing all that. There's so much that you can learn from that. I think this is a good jump start to get you to that, that next thing and plan out what your blogging feels like and how that all works. We had a couple things, Field and Liz, if you wanted to jump in and talk a little bit about where we can go from here as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, Jasmine, thank you very much.
Thank you.
There are a large group of comments in here just thanking you for being so wonderful and for
Thanks.
sharing so much great information so freely with all of us. So a big thank you from the Show It team, but also the viewers
for making this happen. I couldn't do it without you guys. Thank you.
Now we had part of this process, and by signing up and RSVPing to come on and watch the show, there was this issue of 100 smackaroos.
100 Starbucks dollars. Well, they're actually, they're American dollars,
yeah,
but it's on a Starbucks gift card.
It's good for 3.5 drinks and a scone. A pumpkin scone. Those are my favorite. I will be very divisive out there. The pumpkin scone it's actually a little bit worse than the crayon orange. The crayon orange one's the best one out there. So divisive, right there. There it is.
Pumpkin all the way.
We have a winner, and I think it'd be great if you would announce it.
Oh, I would be honored. Over 1,000 people entered for the survey, and the lucky winner is Jenna Mayer. Jenna, thank you so much for just being a part of the survey. You and so many other people really helped make, you guys were the driving force of this, and I appreciate it. And I hope you enjoy your Starbucks, treat a friend. And if I were you, another great way, let's talk about a blog post. How about you put out on social media that you won $100 to Starbucks, and you will invite photographers or wherever if you're a small business owner, meet them at your local Starbucks. You will buy them a drink. You will take photos of the event, and then you will blog about it. It's just good karma. There you go, content creator.
That's a good post. We'll be watching out for that one, Jenna.
That's an excellent idea, actually. Yeah, and so I think I was just looking up Jenna after we announced it. So she signed up for the blogging challenge.
Awesome.
So hopefully she's getting her blogging all squared away.
Tell us a little bit about the blogging challenge, because we didn't talk about that at the beginning.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the blogging challenge is something that we started about 5 weeks ago. We're actually in week 5, and it's a 6-week blogging challenge. You can start it at any time, and it's just a way to get your blog kickstarted a bit. So each week you'll get an email from us, from the team here at Show It, and we've got a different great photographer / blogger who's giving you pro tips and some habits. We want you to get in the habit of blogging and getting into that cadence, getting into that rhythm. And so you can find that on showitier.com, and it's the 6-week blogging challenge. It's free to participate, and we do have a little bit of a gift coming for those who have participated in our first 6 weeks. And next week we'll have our final week, and it's going to be Amy and Jordan Demos, who are fantastic bloggers. They're going to have some tips for you and a habit to get into. Yeah,
so just like we've seen hundreds of comments about people who don't blog, they don't know where to start, they don't know how to do it, they don't know when to get how to get organized and all of these things. That's what this blogging challenge is for. We here at Show It, we believe in the power of blogging and what it can do for your business, for all creative businesses out there, not just photographers. And this is a great challenge. It's a great way that we were able to use some fantastic resources that we have, other Show-Itiers who are great bloggers. We were able to use this and put it together and give it out to people. So,
and if you haven't blogged in a while, or you've never blogged, or maybe you wrote your last blog post a year ago yesterday.
There's nobody like that in this room.
Don't be afraid to get started. It's like, start now so that you can move forward and you can start getting that great marketing for your business and start sharing who you are, because people really do. They want to know who you are. They want to know about you. And we just think blogging is really important. We also think it's really important that you spend time with other creatives, with other photographers, with other designers, whatever your industry is. We think it's really important that you gather together. And we have an amazing conference coming up that is put on by Show It and an amazing team of partners. And this is for professional photographers to come together to gather. It's called United, and United 2015 is coming up in October.
Yes. And where will it be?
It's going to be just up the road from where we live. It's going to be in Scottsdale, Arizona at the amazing Fire Sky Resort. It's October 18th, 19th, and 20th, which is a Sunday through Tuesday. Although if you come, we'd really like you to stay Tuesday night because we're going to be doing some fun stuff on into Wednesday.
And I've seen quite a few people out there in the chat who are in Michigan or Pennsylvania or in the the northeastern part of the United States.
Yeah.
October here, we're having a beach party on the Sunday night, so there's a dozen reasons to come out. There's more than that, but it's going to be amazing. It'll be wonderful, and it'll be here in Scottsdale, Arizona, which is a pretty swanky place.
It is. It's really cool, and we've got lots of amazing speakers that are going to come and talk. Caitlin James will be there. Mary and Justin Morantz. Rachel Brenke, who is the Law Dog, is going to come and give some tips on how to get your business in order legally. So lots of great speakers, lots of great styled shoots. And right now, if you want to go to showitunited.com, that's the website, you can click on the register button, and if you join us and you use the code Jasmine, Jasmine.
How did we choose that code?
I don't know. We know a very special girl named Jasmine. If you use the code Jasmine, you can get $100 off of registration right now. And we do have just a handful of tickets left. Yep. So jump on there really, really quickly. And that code is good until Sunday, this coming Sunday at midnight.
Yeah. And so one final thing on all of this, and to kind of reiterate some of the things we talked about earlier today, if you go to showit5.com, you can RSVP to get in on news and updates when Show It 5 is coming out, so you can have a beautiful, completely responsive and mobile-friendly site like Jasmine's. You could be able to build stuff like that all by yourself without having to know an ounce of code. Go to showit5.com. RSVP, you'll get the updates and everything when that's coming out, and you'll also get the free blogging guide, which has great info from Jasmine and Caitlin.
Yeah.
And Elizabeth and Phil, I'm so sorry. Can I just hop in real quick for people who
come on in?
Okay, cool. So for people who are new to even understanding Show It Live, and even the dynamic of Show It. If you are a newer burgeoning photographer and you do worry about having content for your blog, I challenge you to go to Show It United, because what is if you go to the website, you will understand, but it is a conference. But what they're doing is they're having shoots before the conference and after the conference. So if you sign up for these shoots, these are styled shoots with amazing teachers and photographers who will walk you through how to shoot wedding details, how to shoot a baby. There's even an underwater shoot that's happening at the event. It is amazing. So if you are really looking for content for your blog, you can sign up and you will have weeks, if not months, of content. And you will be building your portfolio, you'll be meeting amazing people, and you'll get to hang out with Todd, and if we're lucky enough, his semi-awkward dad might show up and talk about things. So there you go.
Yeah, and also United, it's very much so.
We're not going to tell him.
Yeah, we told him it's the following week. United is very much so a community event, and it's so amazing how many people I talk to that this is where they meet their best friends. Like I have made, I'm a fairly outgoing guy, but I have made so many great, good quality friends that I met there at United. They have the same mindset. They're in the same industry, which is huge. But they're all over the world. Yeah. And it's just a great place to get and to meet people, and it's a wonderful experience.
And we think it's really important to gather together. The internet is awesome, and Facebook is a great way to communicate, but there is nothing like being in person with people, getting to know them, getting to know what makes them tick, what their heart is about. And we hope that you can come and join us, because it's going to be awesomely fun. It's a beach party in October.
It is. It is.
It's a good time.
I don't have any final questions pulled up. I apologize. But if you guys have any final questions out there viewing, watching in the Facebook event, please feel free to ask questions, and we'll do our best to answer those as well. And then just thank you so much, Jasmine, for being on.
Thank you, guys.
Really
thank you, Jasmine. And everybody watching, make sure you come back next week. We'll be on Tuesday at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And our guest next week is Ben Turner. Ben is an SEO expert. And he actually has a great article in the blogging guide that you can download at show5.com. But make sure you join us. We'll be talking more, and we look forward to seeing you guys.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. We'll see you next week.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
You were so good.